Mic check. Just checking the Facebook live feed. Yesterday we didn't have audio, so yeah. Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Let us know.
Check.
604 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. Get you ready for a busy Wednesday show. We got a lot of ground to cover today. The city parish has a budget. We're going to talk about it. Lame duck session. We're going to talk about it. The sure to be coming trial of Luigi. I can talk about that as whoa. We got a lot of ground to cover. Let's get to it. Top stories and trending starts us off.
Number 5.
East Baton Rouge Parish School System is holding a hiring event for teachers and paraprofessionals coming up on Saturday morning. The system says the event will be on December 14th, 10 a.m. to noon at the Instructional Resource Center, 1022 South Foster Drive. Recruiters are going to be hiring on the spot for teacher and paraprofessional positions pending a background check.
Number 4.
All eastbound lanes of I-12 are going to be closed at the 10-12 split on Saturday as the Department of Transportation and Development crews complete the I-10 concrete bridge deck for the College Drive flyover project. DOTD made this announcement yesterday. I-12 eastbound is going to be closed at the split from 10 p.m. on Saturday to 5 a.m. on Sunday. Traffic is going to be rerouted to 10 eastbound to Essen and Essen northbound to the I-12 eastbound on-ramp. The left lane of I-10 eastbound from College Drive to the split and the left lane of 12 eastbound from the split to Essen will also be closed from 9 p.m. Saturday until 8 a.m. Sunday for that same construction.
Number 3.
Number 3 is Mayor President-elect Sid Edwards has named the first 2 members of his transition team during an appearance at the Chamber of Commerce yesterday. Edwards named Republican State Senator Rick Edmonds to chair his transition team. Edmonds, who represents Baton Rouge, also named Daryl Glasper, a former member of the Baton Rouge Metro Council, the co-chair of the team. Now, Glasper announced current Metro Councilman Daryl Hurst as the chairman of Edwards' community team. We had Hurst on the show yesterday. He had nothing but enthusiasm about working to help the new administration.
Number 2.
Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome thanked the Metro Council for approving the budget for 2025 for the city parish, more than half of which is going to go to funding public safety, including police and fire departments. In managing the $1.1 billion city parish budget, the mayor president's office has discretion over budgeting only about a third of that, about $347 million for the 2025 year. The budget will include no proposed layoffs of city parish employees, maintaining 3% merit raises for eligible employees, and no interruption of basic governmental services anticipated.
Number 1.
Takes us over to Central, where we've got follow-up on a previous story. An auditor to determine that there were no other issues with the Central Police Department's payroll after a former officer was arrested for payroll fraud. Talking about Huey Haley, a former Central Police lieutenant, was arrested back in October, initially for allegedly falsifying timesheets and defrauding the department of more than $7,500. That number got bumped up after further investigation to $24,000.
Well, the former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz is entering the TV world as his next gig has him hosting a 1-hour show nightly on on the One American News Network.
Yeah, OAN, I think they're calling it. Yeah. It's not real surprising there. Not real surprising. That feels like everything played the way it was supposed to here. Like it just that's where he was
a little predictable.
Yeah. Yep. I was shocked it was OAN.
Yeah,
like as opposed to what's the one Todd Starnes is on? Oh, come on, I'll be on there later on today. I'm just breaking on it right now. You know what? Why don't I, rather than wasting airtime, why don't I look it up?
Yeah. In other news, you want to come back to it?
Yeah, we'll come back.
Okay. In other news, former LSU Heisman winner and current Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow was playing against the Dallas Cowboys in Texas when his Ohio home was broken into.
Man,
that's messed up.
It is messed up.
Did they steal one of his very colorful jumpsuits? You know the one I'm talking about? Did they steal any of that stuff? I mean, what did they take?
I don't know.
I want to know.
I don't know. We'll have to look
Well, you know, the
into
night
it.
before Joe Burrow won his Heisman, you know what he was wearing, huh?
What was that?
He's repping Haspel.
He
was repping Haspel that night. Yeah,
I own that suit, but it's not. It doesn't look quite as good on me as it does on Joe. But
so and the other punchline here is no real surprise that Burrow got broken into because I've watched the Bengals play and he gets no protection.
Ooh, ouch. In other news, Breck's Baton Rouge Zoo is asking the public to help name its brand new Jaguar cub. The cub is the first Jaguar born in the United States since 2022 and is the first newborn cub the Baton Rouge Zoo has seen in over 30 years.
Yep, we're going to talk with the zoo about that coming up at 8:35. One of the many.
Can we bring the live Jaguar to Southern games? Is that going to be a thing?
Think so?
No,
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
No,
I hadn't heard anything from the governor about
They're
it.
going to bring it in studio?
Huh? Do what?
They're going to bring it in studio?
We can ask.
That'd be cool, right?
I would ask.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That is going to be part of our rundown today, talking with the zoo about the new Jaguar. Also, Amy Boss with Net Choice is going to talk about the Kids Online Safety Act. Congressman Garret Graves will be up at 7:35. I'm giving the rundown in reverse order. Congressman Garret Graves at 7:35 for D.C. Current, presented by LABI. Metro Councilwoman Jenn Racca at 7:15. And you've already heard a little bit of them there. Attorney Franz Borghardt coming up about 15 minutes from right now as we do Legally Serve. Right now, we're coming up on our first break. Actually, before we take that break, got to remind you about the folks over at P.F. Chang's. Do you have lunch plans today? If you don't, I would highly recommend stopping by P.F. Chang's. I have yet to find anything on the menu that I don't absolutely love. Last time I was in, I brought the family for dinner, and we splurged a little bit. We did the whole thing with the appetizers and the Great Wall of Chocolate for dessert. It was fantastic. Everybody had a great time. Everybody got exactly what they wanted. It was one of those family moments where you just walk away and everyone's feeling good. Whether you're going for dinner or whether you're going for lunch, P.F. Chang's has got you covered. Don't forget, check out the bar and patio. They've got specials all day, every day. A special bar menu as far, not just the drink specials, but for the appetizers and the meals that you can get out of the bar as well. Check them out. They're in the town center. Look for the giant golden horse. What? It came to me.
Okay. Yeah. Good job. They got some really good soup there. Yeah, no joke.
The hot and sour soup.
That if you're sick, it's like matzo ball soup, but P.F. Chang's, and it will absolutely clear you out, and it is it's really good soup. It's one of those things that not everybody knows about.
Yeah. And what is it? Is it
hot,
the soup Brian's talking about?
It's the only soup I think.
They have hot and sour, or they have egg drop.
Oh, okay.
You want the hot and sour.
Oh, good. We do have audio today.
Yeah, I was excited to see that.
Morning, Byron. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, Renee. It doesn't show you the other 6 people who are watching.
And believe it or not, the number is a lot higher than that.
Okay.
Finding out
No,
today.
I believe that.
It's a lot higher.
Why are they not? Why does Facebook not register that though?
I
Like,
don't know.
Because it's not until like post, like once the show's done, then you see like the analytics. Of,
but in real time, there's a little.
I would
Eyeball.
know in real time how many people are actually watching, not
So-
how many people who follow or watch.
Exactly.
So there's an eyeball. Troy's watching. There's an eyeball at the top of the screen with a number, but that's not an accurate number. YouTube used to do weird, like you could have people watching and it would not show that they were watching.
Yeah.
Or that was what I told myself. Morning, Keith.
So no cuts here, right, Brian? Okay. Just double check.
It's Fox News. It's not Fox News. It's not OAN. Newsmax. That was the other one I was thinking of. Oh, I printed 2 of them. .615 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Sports time here, and we're going to talk a little LSU football, or the off-season goings-on of LSU football. Transfer portal's open right now, and LSU has found so far 12 Tigers entering the portal. Within the conference, they're towards the top for the number of players that have entered the portal. Nobody's beaten Arkansas on that one this year, though, as the Razorbacks have 21 in the portal thus far. For LSU, the latest is sophomore tight end Kamorian Pimpton. He entered the transfer portal yesterday, confirming it on Instagram yesterday, I should say. Pimpton was a 4-star recruit coming in. He was expected to take on a bigger role in the next year as Mason Taylor announced that he's going on to the NFL draft. So you got Trades Green and Kamorian Pimpton are your two tight ends with experience heading into next year. David LaFleur's kid's going to be coming in as a freshman and, very highly touted recruit as well. But J.D. LaFleur's his name. And but Pimpton decided it's time to pack up and move on. He had 6 catches for 79 total yards this past year. Had a great catch in the Oklahoma game to round out the regular season. 6'6", 245 pounds. He's going to have 2 years of eligibility remaining wherever he ends up landing. Can say this. I mean, LSU will probably miss him as far as a pass catcher is concerned, but Pimpton was way behind the curve when it came to being a pass blocker, to be sure, or I should say a run blocker. That's really where they need some help, is getting a run blocking tight end. Also, yesterday the SEC announced players that made the 2024 All SEC Coaches first team. Or actually, all the SEC coaches team throughout. 2 LSU Tigers made the first team for All SEC. That would be left tackle Will Campbell, named first team offensive line. Campbell, a 3-year starter. He's already declared for the NFL draft. He was a very highly touted headed into the season. Put up a really good season as well. But man, the thing with offensive linemen, you only really notice them when the flag is thrown, and he had a share of those. But nonetheless, good enough to make the first team All SEC. Who else was first team? That'd be sophomore linebacker Whit Weeks. Whit Weeks could not hear his name called enough throughout the year this year. Just an absolute beast on defense, leading the team in tackles most games. In his second year, Weeks became a household name. 119 total tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 interception, and an absolutely fantastic post-game interview. Weeks is always a really good personality in the locker room. So shout out to both of those guys for going first team. Meanwhile, right tackle Emory Jones Jr., defensive end Braden Swinson, and kicker Aaron Burrell made the second team All-SEC for their respective positions. Tight end Mason Taylor and return specialist Xavion Thomas were selected to the third team. Interesting on that front. Man, Mason Taylor going third team feels low to me because he was just spectacular. Xavion Thomas going third team is hilarious because he had a great season, definitely worthwhile as a third team All-SEC player. But remember in the Oklahoma game, Xavion got hurt. He was replaced by Aaron Anderson. And what did Aaron Anderson do? Oh, just a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. So you got your All-SEC return guy on the sideline, third team All-SEC return guy on the sideline, and you're replacing with somebody who's going to take one to the house. Not a bad spot to be in if you're the LSU Tigers. That's a look at your All-SEC for this year. Get your NFL week started, if we could move from what has been to what will be. The Los Angeles Rams are going to be at the San Francisco 49ers tomorrow night. You can see it on Amazon Prime. You can hear it right here on Talk 107.3 FM. The Rams head into the game at 7-6. The 49ers are 6-7. Kickoff will be 7:15, and we will have Westwood One coverage right here on Talk 107.3 FM. As for the Saints, they'll kick off at noon. They are hosting Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. Daniels has got 2,800 yards plus passing on the season. He's kind of hit a freshman wall, but nonetheless has had a Rookie of the Year style season. So looking forward to that matchup as well. Saints will be on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. All right, it's 6:20. Here comes the Fox Business Report. That's a lot of me talking without a break. Jeez.
So, New York healthcare CEO shooting.
Yes.
Right. Does New York have a death penalty? I don't think they do.
Well, so I want to ask about that.
I guess I need to.
Yeah, thanks for the prep. I want to ask about that because his attorney is fighting extradition from Pennsylvania. Like, is that even a thing? Can you? What would cause
Capital punishment was outlawed in the state of New York.
Okay.
So extradition, and we'll talk about this when we're back on. That is just are you? The person that they have an arrest warrant for, or a fugitive warrant for, or whatever, in this other state, the extradition process is Brian Haldane really Brian Haldane? Is there really a valid arrest warrant? And if so, then he gets shipped, or he gets picked up.
Well, that sounds like a stupid thing to argue against.
Identity.
So
this guy
Luigi Mangione is saying
Luigi allegedly etched things on bullets, man. Buckle up. I think the ripple effect with the other CEOs and other healthcare companies was pretty interesting. Like, everybody kind of went on lockdown. Is the lesson to be learned here that McDonald's is going to get you caught?
That's quite the attentive McDonald's employee.
I mean, you don't even use an employee to make your order anymore. Who's our Lamont Cole today? Yeah. Brian has a pivotal role in the Rotary of Baton Rouge meetings now. He's a part of the production. It's really nice. And I'm not being tongue-in-cheek when I say, I mean, it's really, he's going to be the next president.
Oh, God, no. Did you vote already for the...
I've gone to 2 meetings in a row now. Let's just be happy where we are. I actually stayed longer in this last meeting than I've stayed in quite some time.
I don't know if I'm staying today.
I've got I'm giving a talk for the Baton Rouge Bar Association at 1:40 about negligent crimes. and the emergence of that as a national trend. Basically prosecuting people for doing or not doing something they were supposed to do, but it's not necessarily inherently criminal. Like murder. It's hard for me to say Luigi without, it's a Luigi time!
Did you save the soundbite?
I had some really good.
We got some slowdowns on I-10 eastbound. If you're coming off the Horace Wilkinson Bridge there, you're going to see it's going to be slow moving. That doesn't stay slow moving for very long. This it take you through Washington Street. After that, it picks back up again. But you will start to hit the brakes as you're coming off the river on the bridge on 10 eastbound. Flipping around to I-12 westbound. We are looking at some minor slowdowns around Baton Rouge Country Club or around the Essen Lane exit, but we're also looking at your normal delays back in Livingston Parish around the Denham Springs, around Range Avenue. As you approach Range, or actually from Jubin to Range, it's kind of slow going to start off your morning. Meanwhile, I-10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish is looking great. 110 looks good as well. Surface streets, I'm actually not showing any surface street accidents to report on right now. The board looks clean. That's your look at traffic from the Shaw Bills Tire Traffic Center. Okay. I would rather you dub it because it's like just to have it by itself. Okay. 625, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. It is Wednesday, which means we welcome in attorney Franz Borghardt for Little Legally Served. All right. It's going to be talked about a lot in the coming months, no doubt. So let's dive into it right now. The United Healthcare CEO murder suspect Luigi Mangione has been charged. And we're going to start breaking it down. There's two main topics I want to get to. How are you today, Franz?
First of all,
yes,
it's amazing to be here. Just awesome.
Glad to have you.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Glad to have you.
Have you looked up this guy? It's kind of creepy. Like, it's kind of... he's got a lot of things going on. Valedictorian.
He was valedictorian of a very exclusive school, right, and then went to Penn,
right?
Like University of Penn,
right? Not
no
slouch of a
right. His parents own like a country club, a radio station, a handful of other things
of means.
Yeah.
His mother may have had some bad interactions with insurance.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So did you read his whole
manifesto?
You can call it that.
I don't want to.
If you're writing a manifesto, do you really scribble it down on like little pieces of paper and stick in your pocket?
Well, maybe that was the first draft.
Yeah.
I mean, does it have to be bound like moleskin? Or
I think so. Yeah, no, I think yes, it does.
So when someone writes a manifesto, what does that mean?
Well, normally it means they're looking for some kind of historical change.
Right. They know they're going to get caught.
Yeah.
Or you know,
or they believe in what they say enough to think that the world should adapt to their manifesto.
And what is he alleged to have etched on those shell casing or on the rounds? It's the book, the motto, or
deny, defend, depose.
Yeah. So, first, New York City, New York State doesn't have a death penalty.
Right,
it's been outlawed.
Right.
So, I mean, he's looking at life. Probably no parole.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's start there because I want to talk jury selection, but let's start there because that's what's in the news right now. Is Luigi's attorney is fighting extradition from Pennsylvania to New York. He was caught in Pennsylvania. Let's start with the definition of
So an extradition
Yes.
is some other state or sovereignty wants you, and you're somewhere else in another state or another sovereignty. So if I'm in Louisiana and Texas wants me, they have to file for an extradition. What triggers that? An arrest warrant.
Yes.
A fugitive warrant. And generally, those proceedings are pretty much, they're not, it's not a murder trial. It's, are you? Is Brian Haldane Brian Haldane? And they do that through fingerprints or an identification, and that's it. And that there's a valid reason to bring you from point A to point B. So Luigi's legal challenges to this are, is Luigi Luigi? And is there a valid reason to transport him from Pennsylvania to New York?
Okay, let's break that down.
Right.
What would be a valid reason to not move him from Pennsylvania to New York?
If there's a defect in the arrest warrant, if there's a defect in the fugitive warrant, I say fugitive warrant, a bench warrant. You were supposed to show up and you didn't show up somewhere. Some kind of legal defect. Now, there is a mindset of some of my brothers and sisters in the criminal defense bar that you fight everything.
Yeah.
But I will tell the listeners and the viewers, 99% of extradition hearings are stipulated to. They're agreed to. Yes, I am Franz. You don't have to go through the whole the whole proceeding of checking my fingerprints to make sure I'm me.
Mm-hmm.
And the benefit to most human beings for waiving extradition hearings is the clock starts because the sovereignty only has a certain amount of time to pick you up. So, for example, Louisiana, if Texas has an extradition warrant for someone and I waive my extradition in Texas, Louisiana has 30 days to get me. And if they don't get me in 30 days, guess what Texas has to do?
What?
Cut me loose.
Really?
This won't be an issue in Luigi's case.
No. Because, New York's going to come to get him. That's plain and simple. But, all right, we got to break.
There's lots to unpack.
No, I know, because you set the table perfectly for where we're going to pick it up when we come back. And we will talk a little jury selection as well. He's attorney Franz Borghardt. We're doing Legally Served. We're going all the way to 50. Okay.
So, since it's cold outside today, since we've already talked about the soup at P.F. Chang's, I feel compelled to give my boy Rocco a shout out. I had some of the gumbo at Rocco's Po' Boys. It was good. It was very good. Had like a shredded chicken thing going on. It was ridiculously good.
One of my favorite things about his gumbo is like you do step back and be like, dude, you don't just make sandwiches.
Right.
You know what the
So
bleep you're doing.
the other thing is life hack for you. This is a free gift from me to you. When you get there, they normally come with like the French toast with the gumbo, which is kind of a traditional New Orleans style thing. Ask for the cornbread. The cornbread that comes with the red beans and rice, you got to get
Okay.
that. Dude, the cornbread is ridiculously good. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
All right.
I like to put the
Good morning,
cornbread,
Christy. Welcome in, Boo.
when I make it at home, I like to put the cornbread in the center of the bowl and then just kind of. I want you to know that every day
Oh, go ahead.
every day I have carpool. I see your spouse, your kids. I roll down the window. There's generally a Vincent in there too. I roll down the window and I give the Haldanes a shout out.
Okay.
Obnoxiously loud enough to where I think all of them are embarrassed.
Can't embarrass him.
Oh, you can scare James.
Oh, you can scare James, but you can't embarrass the Haldanes.
So one of the things you have to talk about in jury selection is how do you feel about the insurance industry? Because I'm sure there's probably some, I don't feel this way, but there are probably some people out there that are like, no use crying over spilt milk. Insurance is evil, and the CEO represents like the emperor from Star Wars. And yeah, I love human life, but there are some people out there who probably don't, I don't know that. I mean, that poor guy was just the CEO of a company, dude. He's not.
sympathy for a CEO, but
Cold-blooded
is the CEO
daylight killing, though, is broad daylight. It wasn't really broad daylight. I think it was
the
evening.
sun wasn't even up yet.
Yeah.
But the thing is the CEO the one that makes the decisions? It's not like, they're sitting there like, okay, this woman's got neuropathy. There's not. They're not.
This CEO had no clue who his mother was and who this guy was. If you put a gun to the CEO's head, don't mean to lowbrow that, and said, name me 10 of your millions of insured, they're not going to be able to do it.
Right. Because the CEO's responsibility, or a CEO is more responsible to the shareholders than the policyholders, which is sad but true. The CEO's job, sadly, is, and this is my tagline here, the CEO's job is to put the douche in fiduciary.
Brian Haldane.
That's the kind of analysis you don't get anywhere else, Franz.
I don't even know. It takes a lot to get me quiet, and that just did it.
Well, get ready because it might happen on air, too.
I mean, there's that phrase, right? Some people need a good killing, right? I'm not saying I believe that. For the record, I'm not saying anyone. As a good Catholic man, I believe in the sanctity of human existence and life. I'm just saying,
unless
some people just say.
Oh, man.
I used the phrase yesterday on a national podcast, you people, but it was in reference to Canadians. So it wasn't offensive. Right? The Canadian who was the host laughed. So, I mean, it's okay, right? I mean, I have lots of Canadian friends. One. I have I have problems with lots of things with this Luigi character, but the etching on the rounds.
Yeah, that's next level.
Oh. I mean, capping someone with a silencer firearm is not good in and of itself, but like sitting there and taking the time to.
It's another level of sinister.
Well, there's talk that in interviewing people that knew him, and I quote, he was never the same after this back surgery he had. But normally back surgery doesn't have a neurological effect on a human being. I mean, it can if it's like, hey, my back really hurts.
Okay, what if we go into it further and we find he was prescribed meds and then taken off that prescription?
There's layers.
Definitely crisper to start off this morning. Tomorrow morning, downright cold. For a full-on forecast, here is Emma Kate Cowan.
He apparently 3D printed the gun and silencer, Keith says.
Is that right?
I'm sure we won't have discussions about gun violence and over-regulation of 3D printing of guns. Richard Sprinkle and I did a podcast on 3D printing of guns.
Oh.
It's scary.
637, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along, starting off at 44 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. So it is the continuation of Legally Served with attorney Franz Borghardt. We got Franz for another 12 minutes or so, or he's got to skedaddle out of here. Let's pick up where we left off, Franz. Set the table with we were talking about extradition, right? and we were talking about what would hinder this guy going back to New York. New York is not a death penalty state.
Right.
That's a big part of this. But what other you said other criminal defense attorneys, some criminal defense attorneys argue
Fight
everything. Right.
Well, and it may be, so let me take an even smaller step back. It may be that this guy is not agreeing to anything. So the extradition can be waived. You can agree that, hey, I'm Brian Haldane, and yeah, that's me, and yeah, I'm not fighting this.
Okay. Does it hurt you later to argue stupidity earlier? Identifying this guy as Luigi Mangione, and they want to fight that. Does that not hurt you later to where they say, guys, of course he did this. He's argued against everything along the way, and it shows you he's established a pattern of arguing against things that are already true. So
generally, fighting issues like filing motions, trying to suppress stuff, that's not admissible to a jury. The jury's not going to know about it unless, of course, they're glued to the TV like most human beings are right now. Mm-hmm. Because lest we forget, this guy allegedly took a firearm with a silencer on it and walked up behind the CEO of a major health insurance company and capped him.
Yeah. Okay.
From behind. Right.
Does that matter?
That just sounds. I would.
Is this a Western?
It was a coward move. It was a coward move.
I believe he's being charged with second-degree murder here.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Just for
generally, first-degrry murder is capital murder. There's different
meaning.
Okay, death penalty. But New York has outlawed. New York, an evolved state, has outlawed death penalty. So most likely, the biggest penalty he's looking at is some kind of life offense without parole.
Yeah. Okay, so for New York's purposes, there is no difference between first and second-degree murder.
No.
Okay.
No. The firearm will add a charge to it. The having a firearm, the shooting the firearm, there'll be charges like that.
Oh, we're going to get into all that.
Bringing the firearm across interstate commerce lines. There's going to be a lot of layers, but you know.
Yeah, there will be plenty of time to discuss
Sure.
all of those things
Sure.
for sure. I want to dive into jury selection.
Okay.
Because here we have, and let's look at this from both angles. How do you find an impartial jury for this particular trial? On the one hand, you've got a guy who is what we've seen in the public, very clearly the evidence is pointing towards this guy is just as guilty as the day is long. What we've seen, what we've consumed, where he was arrested, the steps along the way, all the missteps along the way. He was caught with the piece. He had the gun on him. He had his quote-unquote manifesto in his pocket. He made more mistakes than Vince Marinello. Yeah, no, that's a throwback, right? He etched on the bullets on the casings.
Let me preface what I'm about to say with this guy's not Gary Plauché, right?
Oh,
as much as
you're already on the other side.
Yeah.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
I want to start with the how do you find a jury
Okay.
that doesn't already know he's guilty?
So you've got to do in jury selection. You've got to ask, okay, who here knows anything about this case? That's question number one, which everybody should, right?
Everybody should.
Have you made a decision based on what you've seen? And of course, potential jurors are going to be like, "Oh no, I haven't formulated. I can put that out of my head." I haven't formulated an opinion, and you just got to ask them, and you got to talk to them.
Right.
You got to talk to them about, if you're the prosecutor, you got to talk to them about, hey, how do you feel about insurance? Because there are some people out there that, quote Samuel L. Jackson, yeah, I'm glad he's dead. I hope he burns in hell.
Right.
I'm not saying Franz Borghardt is not glad that this human being is dead, but there are some human beings that are like out there who are like
many
that are sitting on their porch like, why are we crying over spilt milk? I mean, he is not. Insurance companies are not exactly the most sympathetic of like victims, quote unquote.
No.
Now that being said, cold-blooded killing. Now, the other issue you have to talk about is mental health issues. Because I have to believe there's something going on here. Like, he could just be an arch criminal genius like Lex Luthor type, but I think there's something going on here.
I mean, obviously,
I'm not saying it's
going to bring you to kill somebody
I'm not
else.
saying it rises to the level of criminal defense, but you got to talk about that, right?
Right. But let's stick with the insurance part of this.
Okay.
I don't know about you, but my Facebook feed is chock-a-block full of people trying to find clever ways to disguise the fact that they condone this.
Right.
There are.
It is creepy.
Yeah.
Like, there are very few instances, and I've been doing this gig for almost 18, 19 years now. There are very few instances where human beings can say out loud, yeah, I'm glad he's dead. He had it coming. Some people need a good killing. And, like, say it and it not be cringeworthy.
Right. Well, and you brought up Gary Plauché.
Right.
So let's dive into that. Is there a level of sympathy that can prevent this from being an impartial jury?
I think that there is that topic of discussion. I don't know that you're going to find 12 people that are willing to give this guy a pass. Look, Gary Plauché, they're still making shirts that say Father of the Year, Happy Father's Day. Mm-hmm. And it's a picture of Gary at the phone.
Yeah.
Like, totally different set of facts, right? Now, that being said, I don't know Luigi's story. Let's say the story is mama or a family member. Now again, he comes from means, so it is what it is. Mm-hmm. But let's say, what was that Denzel Washington movie where he was trying to get like a heart transplant and like couldn't afford it and yada yada yada?
I would know if you didn't ask.
Yeah. So my point is there a story that can be crafted and formulated that maybe doesn't give him a complete defense, but allows one human being on the jury to say, I understand. And if he gets one, this guy wrote a manifesto. He wants his story to be heard.
Manifesto.
Okay, if it's on toilet paper.
Let's not oversell it.
What was it on?
It was just scribbled on paper. It was regular paper.
He didn't have a chance to like publish it.
They didn't have the proper stationery that's hostile.
Meanwhile, am I the only one who's like, you're the CEO of a major like health insurance company? Where the frick is your security? You're just walking down New York City. I mean, just like.
We talked about that with security expert Paul Violas on the show Monday morning, and that's available on demand at talk1073.com. And Paul made a number of good points about how all CEOs need to take this seriously. Maybe not to the point of having on-body security, having a body man with them, but definitely taking a look at that. I mean, and I even joked. I said, like, our billionaires in Louisiana, we don't have too many billionaires in Louisiana, but, like, nobody's hunting down Todd Graves.
I'm just saying.
But then, think about this. What if somebody was mad at Todd Graves and completely, like...
He made Kane's fingers.
What if it's a former employee who was mentally unstable and didn't like minimum wage?
So it's that weird...
Because we're going to walk down this path of, if you're looking at things that start to resemble the French Revolution...
Communism.
Well, if you're looking at things that start to resemble and an uprising where you start taking out CEOs, where you start, where one wants to take out the notch above them. I don't know why, but
this is not.
But if you walk down that path, then all billionaires are going to be in the crosshairs.
Well, listen, we're living in a society where people are walking into churches or schools and shooting it up.
Yes.
So this really shouldn't come as a oh my God, I'm shocked, and my conscience is my pearls are being clutched. Amber on Facebook Live goes, won't it end up as a bench trial? Well, he does have the right to waive a jury. He does have the right to say, Judge, I want you to be the trier of fact. I don't think that's what this guy is, though. I think this guy wants 12 people in a box to pitch his case of, this is why I did it. And I hope he burns in hell.
Let's bring it back around to today's topic, because we're going to cover Luigi Mangione so many times we'll be sick of saying Luigi Mangione, okay?
It's a Luigi time! I'm sorry. I got it out of my system. It's done. I'll never do that again.
No, hang on.
Lovely. Okay, that's out of our system.
Yeah. All right. Now that that's done, we can focus again. Just bring this back around to jury selection, because you said the likelihood his defense attorney is going, and he and his attorney are going to want to have that one sympathetic juror. How tough is it for that one sympathetic juror to sneak their way into the process?
Oh, we have sleeper cells get on the juries all the time.
Yeah.
That conceal information. I mean, all it takes is one person that's like, man, I freaking hate health insurance. And you know what? I've thought about it. Now, the flip side is this is the same jurisdiction, by the way, that just acquitted a Marine for a chokehold on a subway.
That Marine saved another person's life, though.
Right.
That Marine saved possibly
hero,
multiple lives. Yes.
Hero. Gary Plauché. Hero.
Right.
It's not as easy as you might think. Now, the other question is
Brian Thompson didn't step on a subway saying, I'm going to kill people.
Right. So here's the question. Can he get a fair trial anywhere? Can he get a fair trial in New York? So with modern global communication, I think your change of venue, like, I don't want a juror that's been living under a rock and doesn't understand what's going on around him.
Same. In fact, I would say that should disqualify you. And
it's not like everyone has health insurance now.
Yeah.
We have this thing that allows everyone to have health insurance now. That may be crappy health insurance.
Most of it is. And this United Healthcare denies a whole lot of claims. And this dude's mom died. And I get that.
So much to unpack.
I know, which is why I wanted to stick with just like one specific for today, which is jury selection. So what's the likelihood? And I fully believe that the jury selection here is going to turn into a Grisham novel, and we're on the lookout for a Nick Easter.
Yeah.
John Cusack's character.
I think the prosecution really needs to be looking for that person with an agenda, with an axe to grind. And that axe can be gun violence. It can be health insurance. It can be health care. There's a lot of axes in this case to grind. So
your number one question would be, have you had a relative die and been denied care along the way?
One of the tough issues in this case is health insurance. And we got to talk about health insurance. And I would talk about how I feel about health insurance.
Then let's do that next week.
Yes, sir.
He's attorney Franz Borghardt. We always appreciate the time, brother. Here comes your money now. I don't know what the hell to talk about here. 6:55 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. So, Mayor President-elect Sid Edwards has named his first two people to his transition team. Can you grab those Sid cuts from the other day? We didn't get to all of them. I wanted to replay them here. We had Sid Edwards on with us Monday morning. He was on Monday at 8:05, and we talked about a lot of things. Number one, the emotion of Saturday, like walking through that. I mean, this is his first time out as a political candidate, and he upends an incumbent who had never been beaten before, which is, I mean, rare in and of itself, but man, I just very very big news, very big election on Saturday. And so he's made his added his first two names as part of the transition team. I talked with him. Grab cut 2 if you would first, please. I talked to him on Monday about, well, first of all, the what and when of the transition team, and then we got a little bit to the who. Here's how he talked about timeline.
Well, I'm looking at my team over there. You know, rest, they do not know the definition of rest, for sure.
Okay.
But we're meeting today. Our campaign team is meeting around noon, and I'm going to give them several names for the transition team. They're going to have some names. It's a think tank to kind of put that transition team together. I said it before. I didn't want to put the cart before the horse.
Right.
But I had been talking to some people in case. And we should be able to announce that transition team as early as this afternoon, no later than tomorrow midday.
So tomorrow midday was Tuesday midday. And we got the first two names out, but we know there's a lot more to go. Actually, we have the first three names out, but we know there's a lot more to go because I asked him. I said, "Look, I don't want names as of Monday morning when this was on the air." So I just said, "I don't want names right now, but let's start to get an idea of the who."
Yeah, it'll be a hodgepodge. There's going to be some people who've been involved locally, for sure, but there will be some new, fresh voices on that team, and there's been an awful lot of interest in, for lack of better words, people applying for a position, on that transition team. We can't have a team of 20. 20's too many.
Right.
And 2's not enough, is how I see it. So I'm looking at a dozen folks.
Okay.
And but yeah, you'll see some familiar names for sure, and maybe some not so familiar.
So of those familiar names, we can have Republican State Senator Rick Edmonds. He will chair the Mayor President-elect's transition team, alongside co-chair Darrell Glasper, a former member of the Baton Rouge Metro Council. This was announced yesterday. Now, Glasper went ahead and made the announcement that current Metro Council member Darrell Hurst is going to be part of this team as well. We had Darrell Hurst, Metro Council member from District 5. We had Hurst on yesterday, which this audio is available at talk1073.com as well. I was floored, downright floored, with the level of enthusiasm from Darrell Hurst to pick up whatever and run with it. Whatever Sid is putting down, Darrell's picking it up and wants to run with it. So there's a level of enthusiasm here. There is a level of just energy that's surrounding this. I was called by a American Ground Radio, their statewide radio show. I was on the show yesterday evening, or late afternoon, early evening, talking about this, and I'll be on with Todd Starnes later on today. The amount of national attention coming to this one little bitty story, like it's just a mayoral election in the 82nd, 83rd media market in the country. Like, we shouldn't be this big a news, but it is. It's huge news, and it's playing out everywhere, and we're going to follow every ounce of it as it continues to move forward. We got a break. I'm looking up the clock. We got a break right now. ABC News coming your way. Hour 2 is next. We've got Metro Councilwoman Jenn Racca joining us in 15 minutes. Rich, I got a back injury. Can I go kill people because of that? I got a back injury. Am I allowed to go kill people because of that? Yeah.
Dude, you all right?
I'm good. How are you this morning?
Dude, here's what I thought about.
What you got?
I was being funny at first, but I said I got to say, do you realize on January 12th, Bobby Phills passed away 25 years ago on January 12th? All right? On this, Bobby Phills, you remember played for Southern in the Charlotte Hornets?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't placing it.
And he would have turned 55 on December 20th, right? In honor of Bobby Phills and his legacy, the new Jaguar needs to be named Phills.
I got the zoo coming on at 8:35.
Yeah, I'm telling you, with the history, it'd be 25 years. What a perfect time.
Yep. I love it. That's good.
Man, for somebody smart and intelligent like you to tell me something like that, it means the world to me, Brian. I'll remember this day forever. Just like that first hickey. Man, kids are not cool anymore. They don't give hickeys. Remember you used to go to school that Monday morning and
Yeah. And the way the guaranteed way to get busted was to wear a turtleneck. Because otherwise, why are you wearing a turtleneck?
Wait a minute, turtleneck like you found out.
Yeah. Man, you know my name there.
Stereotype nowadays.
That's a character on the show. That's not a stereotype. .705 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing. We've ticked down to 43 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge to start off your second hour, and a busy second hour will be. We've got a 2025 budget for the city parish. Metro Councilwoman Jenn Racca slated to join us 10 minutes from right now to talk about that. DC Current presented by LABI. Congressman Garret Graves is slated to join us at 7:35. The clock is ticking on the congressman's tenure or the congressman's term before he packs it up in D.C. and comes back home. We will talk with him at 7:35. But before we get to anything, it's time for top stories and trending.
Number 5.
We got some pretty intense firefighter training going on in town right now. The story per WBRZ: firefighters and industrial workers from around the nation, even some from Canada, are here in Baton Rouge training to get certified in rope and confined space rescue. Brad Ward, the chief instructor from ROCO, says these skills are essentially, says, quote, "It's a really stressful 2 weeks for the students. This is not a class you just come and attend and you get a gold star for being here." Ward said this is going to allow them to perform rope rescues. The typical stuff you might see on TV with someone stuck on a scaffold or someone in a refinery that's up on a platform that needs to get down, or even a backcountry rescue taking somebody off the side of a cliff or a bridge. Not a whole lot of cliffs here in Louisiana, but we certainly have all the rest. The firefighters from Baton Rouge and St. George, there's a number of them in the training. They'll be tested on their skills on December 20th.
Number 4.
East Baton Rouge School System is holding a hiring event for teachers and paraprofessionals Saturday morning. The EBR PSS event will take place December 14th from 10 a.m. to noon at the Instructional Resource Center, 1022 South Foster Drive. Recruiters will be hiring on the spot for teacher and paraprofessional positions pending a background check.
Number 3.
Look for shutdowns on I-12 on Saturday night. Be closed at the 10-12 split as DOTD will be completing the I-10 concrete bridge deck for the College Drive flyover project. 12 East will be closed at the split from 10 p.m. on Saturday to 5 a.m. on Sunday. Traffic will be rerouted to 10 eastbound to Essen Lane, and then you take Essen northbound and hop back on 12 right there. So quick little scooch off and scooch back on again. The left lane of 10 eastbound from College Drive to the split and the left lane of 12 eastbound from the split to Essen will also be closed on Saturday, 9 p.m. until 8 a.m. Sunday for that same construction.
Number 2.
Mayor President-elect Sid Edwards named the first 2 members of his transition team during an appearance yesterday. State Senator Rick Edmonds will chair that team. Darrell Glasper, a former member of the Metro Council, will co-chair that team. Glasper, by the way, announced that current Councilman Darrell Hurst will be the chairman of Edwards' community team. We had Hurst on the show yesterday. Could not have gotten more full-throated support out of him for the incoming administration.
Number 1.
Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome thanked the Metro Council for approving the proposed 2025 city parish budget, more than half of which goes to fund public safety, including police and fire departments. In managing the $1.1 billion city parish budget, there's only $347 million that is a little bit discretionary. The budget includes no proposed layoffs to city parish employees. It maintains a 3% merit raise for eligible employees, and there will be no interruption of basic governmental services. So the St. George impact, as it were, that everyone was bracing for, looks like it didn't hit this year's budget at all. What's trending, John?
Well, former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz is entering the TV world. That's his next big gig. Has him hosting a 1-hour show nightly on the One American News Network.
OAN. And so I don't know where you get OAN. I hear the commercials for it from time to time.
Right.
But I mean, like, I know where to find Newsmax. I even know where to find Newsmax 2. And then OAN
News or a channel. Or
it's a
network?
channel. It's a channel. I've never sought it out.
Right.
So.
Huh. Well, good for him.
Yeah,
we talked about this
it's
the last
rather.
hour.
Yeah, it's kind of a predictable move.
Yeah.
I mean, once he was no longer in Congress, he was very loud when he was in Congress. Of course, the only thing he ever said was no, but very loud in saying it. So,
Nonetheless, yeah. In other news, former LSU Heisman winner and current Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow was playing against the Dallas Cowboys in Texas when his Ohio home was broken into.
So there has been a rash of professional athletes' homes being broken into while they're playing while they're plying their trade. And it's like a South American cartel that's been doing it, and
that's
they've been
behind it.
like they'll find out who's playing where. Let's go get them while they're on the air, while they're playing. But the officials in Ohio are saying this isn't that. This is separate from that. I'm starting to wonder, like, how many copycats are you going to see? Because very clearly, and the more traction the story gets, all these stories get, the more you're going to see copycats. It makes perfect sense. Oh, he's not home right now. Not going to be home for a couple of hours.
Yeah, I think that's the problem we see. And we also, we see that all the time, right? Don't post where you are on social media, because when you do, or when you're on vacation, it shows that, hey, your home's, vulnerable. You're vulnerable. You're not home. And the thing is with these athletes, people know where they are, and it's clearly, they're not home.
So here's the question to start asking for 2025, okay? And I know we're only on the 11th of December, so we got some time to start formulating what's in, what's out for 2025.
Yeah.
But I want to ask this question. Are the rich just going to be targets across the board, more so than in recent history, a lot more so than in recent history? Are the rich going to be targets just because they're rich? Patrick Mahomes had his house was broken into. Joe Burrow's house was broken into. United Healthcare CEO was murdered in the street. Are we going to see that growing level of class envy to where breaking the law to
make a point?
Not just make a point, but Robin Hood things a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that going to be more in vogue next year?
Right, because what was the motive even behind this burglary? Apparently his home was just ransacked.
Joe Burrow. And
what was it for?
Well, yeah. And we don't even know yet. We don't know what was stolen yet.
Exactly. So. Yeah, the more I look into it, I don't see anything.
But he's an easy target. I've watched the Bengals play. I've seen their offensive line. Burrow gets no protection.
Ooh. Hey, in local news, Breck's Baton Rouge Zoo is asking the public to help name its brand new Jaguar cub. The cub is the first Jaguar born in the United States since 2022, and the first newborn cub the Baton Rouge Zoo has seen in over 30 years.
We're going to talk with the zoo coming up at 8:35 about exactly that. I got to give a shout out to Richard Condon right down the hall on Eagle 98.1. He's got a great name for the Jaguar, the new Jaguar Cub.
Yeah,
a former Southern University basketball player who went on to play for the Charlotte Hornets, who passed away on January 12th of the year 2000. So coming up on January 12th, it'll be the 25th anniversary of his death. Bobby Phils is the player's name. Condon says, name the new Jaguar Phils. Count me in. I'm on board.
Yeah.
Awesome name. Awesome shout out. Awesome recognition and homage. Love it.
Yeah.
Love everything about it. All right, we're at 7:13 to Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Metro Councilwoman Jenn Racca slated to join us next.
I like that idea. Is she calling there? She coming now. Oh, okay. What do you guys think about the name? Phil's. Sound off. Facebook. It feels so great to be back. Yesterday was just so odd. Not being on here. So, shout out to Bo for coming in and saving the day as per usual.
right, we already in? Okay, snap. That's on me. No. I need. All right. 717 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Let's talk a little city parish business. Let's talk a little Metro Council business. Let's welcome back to the studio a very festive Jenn Racca, the sweater.
Thank you.
The sweater. You got the Nutcracker sweater going on.
Yeah, I'm Christmas on the outside, Grinch on the inside.
Oh, wow. No.
Just kidding.
Yeah. So I'd be remiss if we didn't start with the city parish budget. I mean, that was the big thing last night, right?
It was.
I had Metro Councilman Moak in, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, and he brought this ginormous binder with him.
It's enormous.
That was the budget.
Yes, it is.
And is it even physically possible to have gotten through the entire budget before
So
voting on
I
it?
think it's 507 pages,
Uh-huh.
or somewhere close to that. I'm going to be honest with everyone. I only got to page 498.
Okay.
So that right around 493 to 498, there are the definitions, and something we talked about a lot last night, and I think people were very appreciative of it, is we discussed what a millage is. And somewhere at the end of that book, at the very end, it tells you not only what a millage is, but what a millage is worth. So many times we'll go to the polls and we'll vote for or against a millage, but you don't know the numerical value that attaches to that millage. You don't know the tax dollars that attach to that millage unless you're doing math equations on your property tax bill and trying to figure that out based upon population size and whether it's a parish, district, or city millage.
Wait, is the value of a millage different from place to place?
Yes, sir, it is.
I
Yes,
thought it was
sir.
a tenth of a penny.
No, sir. So the way that it works is you have, let's say, for example, we used this last night, Council on Aging. You know, everybody likes to talk about them. The library, we like to talk about those folks too. Let's look at the library. Library's millage currently that we approved last night was 9.89 millage value.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you look at the number that is attached to that particular millage, it's $5.4 million per millage. So grossly, approximately, taxpayers will pay $31.8 million towards the library system alone this upcoming year. And whenever you look at Council on Aging, I think that theirs was basically 2 millages. They got 2 millages, so right around $11 million. But then whenever you look at just a citywide millage, that millage for EBR, because it'd obviously be different for Central Baker and those other folks based upon population size. For EBR, one millage in a citywide type of area would be $2.3 million. But then whenever we looked at the Downtown Development District millage, that millage was nowhere near what the other millages are because it was a very small area. So that millage was somewhere, I think, and I'm sorry, somewhere, it's been a long time since last night's meeting. Somewhere around $700,000, I believe, is what they said. But then when we looked at one of the fire districts, so this is really interesting. So the fire districts, you see 10, 10, 10, and it's all, let's say, Pride or Cheneyville Fire District. And you're like, whoa, they're getting all this money whenever you're looking at the millage equations. But because they're a district, that's even super smaller, and I think it came out to $504,000. So when people are scrutinizing their millages and looking at their tax bills, and we hear rededication of taxes, people are talking about that, you have to know the full scope of what a millage is and how it applies in your particular area. So we talked about that a lot, and I think that was a really good conversation to have.
So do millages change from millage to millage, or is it based off the populace that's contributing to the pool here?
It attaches to your property bill.
Right.
So
yeah, that part I understand.
Okay. So it changes with the value of your property.
Mm-hmm.
It changes obviously on whatever district, precinct, whatever you're in, wherever you're looped in.
Interesting. What stood out, other than definitions, what stood out about last night's budget? Was there anything that was really controversial along the way?
So the budget is not like any budget I've seen before as a council person, and that's because we had significant cuts going in. Mm-hmm. That is not something new. That's something we knew about. That's something we discussed. Mayor Broom had talked about that she did not want to cut anyone's jobs. She didn't want to cut jobs. She wanted to get rid of the vacant positions, and make sure that, the folks that were working there were able to continue to work there. But we saw departments take substantial hits financially. So we saw, obviously the district attorney's, his budget got hit, public defender's budget got hit, 19 JDC, BRPD, but everybody across the board has substantial cuts. The problem with a couple of council members and I talked about, and we have some solutions that you're going to see tonight, is in the middle of a crime wave, in the middle of the statistical numbers that we have that we see every single day, those core offices, those constitutional offices cannot be depleted of their funds. They need more funds than they have now currently, even with the full budget, the prior budget. They need more money. So we went and looked for those dollars to try to bring them as close, if not better off than they were before. We don't want it to stop. We cannot stop fighting crime. That's just something we cannot do.
Freeing up dollars is going to have to be the biggest topic of 2025, because to see so many dollars committed to so many things that we want versus things that we need, and it goes right back around but the hard part is the taxpayers voted for them to go that way. The taxpayers voted for the 2 Breck propositions. The taxpayers voted for the library. They voted for, believe it or not, the Council on Aging. How do you undo that without undoing the will of the people? Because I think all of us would look in hindsight and say, our libraries are gorgeous right now, but they're also flush.
Correct.
So what can we do to help?
The one wonderful, beautiful thing about our budget is you can go through, and on some of those things like EBR Parish Library, we see that they have $96 million of rollover funds that are just sitting there. Now, obviously, they say that they're dedicated to projects.
$96 million
in excess.
Well, that's roughly the amount that it would take to build a new prison, isn't it?
I mean, wouldn't you imagine so? And then you have mosquito abatement, which
can we throw a stack of books in the new prison and call it a library?
I mean, readers are leaders. Maybe we should.
Can we have a yard in the prison and call it a Breck Park?
I don't know. I mean, those are all great ideas.
Thank you.
We could pitch those.
I'm full of them.
I like it. But when you look at mosquito abatement, I think that we heard from them, and again, the numbers, there's so many numbers floating around. I think they had an excess of $62 million. So the millages work, and they're funding these folks very well.
Yes.
Breck, I know that they haven't submitted to an audit. There's an outstanding audit or something, so we don't quite have the numbers, but it's rumored that they're somewhere between 100 to 120 million in excess is just rumor mill of what I've heard from folks at City Parish. Council on Aging, I don't know. The way that their resolution is written, they don't have to provide that. Those numbers aren't provided in our budget, so we don't know what their rollover is.
Really?
Yeah. Theirs is written very differently than some of the others. So those things, we don't know where their rollovers are. But at any rate, none of the council people can say, we're rededicating these taxes. We can't say that. So it's up to the voters. We would have to go, the council would have to decide that we wanted to rededicate those taxes. We'd have to put it on the ballot, and the voters would have to vote for it. And as you saw with the plan of government, there's just a total and complete distrust. Folks don't want to read. They don't want to consume it themselves. They want us to tell them what it is, but then they get mad at us because it's not what they thought it was, or it's not how they want to interpret it. So it's putting a lot of pressure on the voters to go out there and do their homework and do their research. And that it's the will of the people. And like you said, resoundingly, it just passed, just flew right through.
And so I had Dwight Hudson on last week, and one of the things that he said was this budget was going to pass pretty easily because of the transition from Mayor Broom to Mayor Edwards. It's like you don't want to undo everything while you don't know what's still coming.
Yeah, and look, let's not kid the public.
And the St. George stuff.
We can't undo anything.
That's true too.
The power of the council is just not there. If we would have gone and tore the budget into pieces last night and said, you know what, as a council, we're not going to approve this. On December 31st, it gets passed anyway and it moves forward. Right. In the plan of government, we had attempted to change some of those things. That didn't work out. I'm not going to live in the past. But moving forward, we didn't have power to change any of that anyway. All we can do is stomp our feet and say, we're not going to pass it. And then what happens? Now, the good news is in 2025, the mayor can come in and he can say, you know what, I'm going to make some budget amendments. I'm going to reevaluate this. I'm going to change things. After publishing it and doing 2 meetings, he can make whatever amendments he needs to make.
Okay, but those amendments can only affect the 1/3 of the budget that has any discretion over it at all.
Correct. And look, that's all we were ever playing with.
Right.
Is 1/3 of the budget. And by that, let's talk about what that is. That's the general fund.
Yeah.
That's the part that we can move around. So
What would it take to really get the ball rolling on significant change on the dedications?
we would have to, in my opinion, what I think would be best is for us to go and talk to those other agencies, talk to them and say, you know what, this is the number. We're going to take some, or you're going to allow us. We're going to all agree. And those conversations have started. Another council member and I have tried to schedule meetings with them to have that conversation. So, but other council members are gonna force it through, I believe, if we don't see it, if we don't see any progress.
We've only got about 2 minutes left. I really wanted to spend some time on this economic development contract that came through last. Was it the last meeting? I believe.
Is that the one with LSU and Southern? The one?
No, this is the one. It's an $80,000 contract for
Jay Goday.
That's the one.
Goday.
Yes.
Okay.
Explain to me what that does and how it differs from the chamber's role.
So the chamber no longer contracts with the city directly.
Okay.
And I believe that this mayor we had dedicated funds to the chamber for economic development. I believe the chamber broke off and they're doing their own thing unattached to the city. And so I believe that the exploration with Jay Goday was having a chamber role come back in, somebody that was attached to the city that was focused in driving exactly what the city of Baton Rouge wanted. We were kind of scratching our heads at that meeting. Jay Goday has been a great guy. We've done projects with him in the past. If we needed to reach him, he was great to work with, super nice, always reachable. But it came across, and it was something brand new. Plus, what we were looking at was the $80,000 was so small in comparison to what would actually be needed to get a real economic development ball rolling.
Well, but what was eye-opening about it is it happened at the exact same time that the Baton Rouge Area Chamber came out and said, we're pivoting our business model to be more economic development based, and that's what's in Lori Melance's wheelhouse, and that she's the CEO now. So these two things happening at the same time, it kind of set off, an alarm or two, saying, whoa, let's ask a few questions.
Yeah, I'm sure that had something to do with the current administration and BRAC. That look, we want economic development any way that we can get it.
Oh, look, I'm not turning down anybody for
need
sure.
It any way we can get it from anybody that wants to bring it. If somebody has an idea for a business, come on, let's talk. But I can't speak to the personal relationship to this mayor and BRAC currently. I know I've spoken with Lori Melance. She has some wonderful ideas on moving the city forward and incorporating the school systems, incorporating reform in prison. So she's all over in a very calculated way, and it's really great to see her vision.
Tonight's the last meeting of the year?
Surprise? No,
No?
it's not. No. We're going to have a meeting next Wednesday for a budget supplement. Surprise.
Okay.
It's a good thing. So we've found some dollars that were not allocated to the general fund originally. It came through a franchise fee through Entergy. Cleve Dunn and I had discovered that there was some money that was left on the table and going to be waived.
Mm-hmm.
So we found those dollars. It's roughly $3.5 million. We have an item tonight to incorporate that franchise fee and not leave.
This was introduced at the last meeting,
Yes,
right?
it was.
Is there going to be a cost to the taxpayer on the back end of this from Entergy?
So Entergy can decide to give it to the taxpayer, or they can keep it to themselves. Currently, there are other parts of our city that are paying that franchise fee.
Mm-hmm.
This is only going to impact the unincorporated areas. And look, those words are thrown about a lot. So let's be specific. North Baton Rouge, portion of North Baton Rouge, and some of the folks down into my district along Burbank and the Gardier area. And they roughly estimate it's going to be anywhere between $3 to maybe $7 on a bill, on your Entergy bill, if it's passed down to the taxpayer. But let me tell you what it does, because this is the important piece. So it gives $500,000 to the district attorney's office.
Needed.
And It gives $500,000 to BRPD. It gives
Awesome.
$500,000 to the 19 JDC. It gives $250,000 to the public defender's office. It gives $250,000 to the parish attorney's office, and then it gives approximately, and my numbers might be wrong, $100,000 to each council district. Then any remaining funds will be left in the budget for the new mayor to come in and have somewhere between $500,000 and $750,000 to start projects immediately for whatever he may deem as a project moving forward. And if you can give me 2 minutes, I can tell you.
No, take it.
So I talked to Hiller Moore. He was very excited about it. He asked us to task BRPD with using those funds for unfatal gun shootings. And obviously, it makes sense in a crime sense. If we can get more focus on the unfatal gun shootings, then we can stop the fatal ones. And he believes that those have bottlenecked the investigations for the unfatal because everyone is looking at the fatal shootings. But if we go and start prosecuting and researching and looking into those unfatal shootings, we'll stop more of the fatals. So he's asking that the chief spend that money on overtime and particular attention to the unfatals so we can stop it. Now, obviously, we're going to need 19 JDC to be able to keep up with that. Judge Jordan came in, and the rest of his team at the 19 JDC, they put 2 new commissioners in place. Those 2 new commissioners were trained and worked their careers at the district attorney's office. They're great commissioners. They understand how to move things forward. They understand what crime looks like. They've been lifelong district attorneys, assistant district attorneys. So we have things in place to move things forward in the middle of this crime wave. It's been slow going, but we're getting them there. So all of these funds, and obviously you need the $250,000 for the public defender's office to be able to keep up with the DA.
Right, yeah.
You can't have one party slow and behind. Now, here's the important piece with the $100,000 with the council budgets. Look, folks are like, oh my God, they're paying themselves $100,000. This money cannot come directly to us. But what this money can do, and this is the important piece, is while this new mayor comes in and he's getting his feet on the ground and he's doing the important things, council members now have money within their budget to go and do the little things. So if I need drainage maintenance somewhere, or I need a crosswalk, or I need stop signs, and these things come up, instead of going and having a revolving door into the new mayor's office begging for these things, we can help these things. We can do these things within our budget. Services are going to be decreased. So in districts like mine, I need another employee. And so I need to have somebody boots on the ground that's driving around my district, that's talking to the people that are putting 311 requests in and making sure they're coordinating with the services, the 311 departments, to making sure these things get done. So this is covering everyone. This is covering our constituents for the first year to make sure no one's without services. They're not feeling the pains of a new transition and the transition to a new city, the transition to a new mayor. We're letting everybody get their bearings so the real tough stuff can get done and get done right.
She is Metro Councilwoman Jenn Racca. Always appreciate the time. That was well worth going over for
Thank
sure.
you so much for letting me do that.
Absolutely, always. We're late for news. We'll catch our local news, traffic, weather. Congressman Graves is next. That was well worth it because I had so many. Kill the mics. 742 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We are running way long here. Let's welcome in Congressman Garret Graves, D.C. Current, presented by LABI. He joins us every Wednesday. He does that right now. Congressman, welcome aboard. How are you, sir?
Hey, thanks, Brian. I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing very well as well. Man, you have been just in overdrive in the waning days. We got a lot to cut. You know what? I'm just going to open it up. Where do you want to start today? Because I've got so much on my list for you.
Hey, look, as you and I have discussed in the past, Brian, look, these are the final weeks of nearly 10 years in serving in Congress. There are things that we had on our list that we wanted to get done, and so we are rushing and using every single angle, every opportunity, every bill to jam things through. And you and I have discussed that this wasn't necessarily the best way for a career to end in Congress, but we committed to serve for 2 years. We were elected for 2 years, and the people we represent are going to get the full 2 years of service. So, been a very, very active week. Everything from Water Resources Development Act, which is going to improve flood protection, coastal restoration for many, many areas of South Louisiana, everything from a brand new comprehensive effort for flood protection in Livingston Parish to massive changes, including saving the Morganza to the Gulf project in Terrebonne and Lafourche, about $100 million that they'll be able to invest in other resiliency efforts or protection efforts, connecting that project, which again goes Terrebonne and Lafourche, to a project in St. Charles and Lafourche that goes all the way up to Ascension Parish, sort of what I would view as the main Achilles heel in South Louisiana right now, which is that Barataria Bay kind of opening. If a hurricane were to come up that way, you have such a vulnerability. It wouldn't just impact St. Charles and Lafourche parishes, but literally it exposes the entire basin all the way up to Ascension Parish. So massive changes there. Water and wastewater authorizations totaling into probably a couple $100 million for areas like Baton Rouge, Ascension, Livingston, and other communities in South Louisiana. We had a massive win in a FEMA bill this week. FEMA, as you may have seen, takes years and years, and in some cases you have outstanding claims from Hurricane Katrina in 2005. So what we did is we passed a bill that would put FEMA on the hook for interest costs whenever they delay things like this. So instead of sticking the bill to the disaster community, to the community that already took it on the chin through a hurricane or other disaster, FEMA right now hits them again by making them cover costs for disasters by delaying or being bureaucrats on the reimbursement. And so if a community had to pay, make up a number, $50 million for some type of disaster recovery cost that FEMA should be paying, you may have our communities that are footing the bill, carrying the load, floating the $50 million worth of cost for years or even decades. And there's no incentive for FEMA to quickly or efficiently process claims. So we said, look, if you're going to delay, you are going to pay interest cost to those local governments and electric co-ops. So that passed. So look, I could go on and on, but just a lot of really good legislation is moving through the House right now, moving through Congress, and moving toward getting signed into law by the president.
Okay, let's stick with the FEMA bill real quick. We're talking with Congressman Garret Graves, as D.C. Current, presented by the Louisiana Association of Business Industry. That interest, is that start now, or is it retroactive on everything they've already been laid on?
So it would start from here forward.
Okay.
But look, keep in mind, you've got a lot of claims that are out there right now that from Laura, Delta, Zeta, Ida, where this would benefit. And Brian, what happens is that you may have, and let's say Livingston Parish, they may have to foot the bill for $50 million for something they did. What that means is that other parish services end up getting cut. So once again, you're hitting Livingston Parish twice, once by Hurricane Ida, and again by making them, the citizens of the parish experience lesser government services or cut services because they're floating a $50 million bill waiting on FEMA bureaucrats to process claims. So what this does is this allows the parish to go out and say, you know what, we're going to go to a local bank, we're going to get a loan, and then they can have the interest cost of the debt service paid by FEMA. So what that means is that Livingston Parish can actually move forward on recovery efforts and not have to sit there and rob Peter to pay Paul. And the better thing is this incentivizes FEMA to quickly process these claims and get reimbursements through. There was an Inspector General report that recently came out that said that there was $71 billion with a B, dollars in unprocessed claims that FEMA had dating back 10 years or more. So that really, I can't say it enough. It re-victimizes our local communities and our disaster-impacted communities, and it's just wrong.
We're talking with Congressman Garret Graves as this D.C. Current presented by LABI. I want to go back to the water resources bill because you covered a lot of ground in a very short period of time. If you would, start with the effects on coastal restoration from that bill.
Yeah, so look, some of the stuff gets in the weeds a bit, but these are real issues that cause a profound delay or impact or driving up cost. So one of the things is that, and it just doesn't pass the common sense test. One of the things is that right now, whenever we go acquire land for a coastal restoration project, 82% of coastal Louisiana is in private hands. That is different than probably any other coastal state in the nation. Most of them are publicly owned coastal areas. Mm-hmm. But Louisiana is different. We have wetlands, we have energy production, and so 82% of it is privately owned. So what will happen is when we come in to do a coastal restoration project, the Corps will say, well, you've got to own the property. Well, if the private landowner says, look, I'll give you the access to the property for free if you're going to do a restoration project. What that does is it reduces the cost of the project, it eliminates conflict with property owners, but the Corps is trying to force us to actually buy the property. So we have legislated on this twice already. We finally came in with just the sledgehammer this year and said, you are going to stop doing this. And if the property owner is willing to donate access to the property, or what's called a project easement or conservation easement, then my gosh, you're saving taxpayer dollars, you're reducing conflict, and you're going to make the project move faster. And so that's one example, but one of the other big things that we did, and again, it gets in the weeds, but profound impact. We expanded the way that the state of Louisiana can earn credits on projects. So if Louisiana unilaterally goes out and carries out a coastal restoration project, they effectively can get credit on that project that they then can use maybe on, instead of paying cash, as a cost share on a hurricane protection project. So said another way, Brian, it means expedited coastal restoration projects, and it means that we're going to have more resources for things like flood control and hurricane protection all across Louisiana. When you go through and add up some of these things that I'm talking about, we are talking about implicating over $1 billion. So said another way, massive new dollars, new resources available for the protection of our communities in South Louisiana.
How does this impact CPRA's master plan there? How does this affect the $50 billion over 50 years? Does it take out of what it's going to cost?
Well, what it does is the state has not been putting, in my opinion, appropriate resources to the master plan. They're sitting around and waiting for others to come in and pay. And I think that number one, this does incentivize the state and frees up some resources for them to put into the master plan. But I'm going to go off on a quick tangent, Brian.
Go for it.
The biggest mistake the state's making right now is by ignoring science, moving in a direction that is political. The coastal program has never been political, and by the state making these unilateral declarations, ignoring every conservative and liberal scientist that is involved in the coast and abandoning these river reconnection projects like the Mid-Barataria Sediment Project. They are making grave errors. It is foundational to the coastal program, and so it's like taking something that's supposed to work in concert. It's like taking a band and saying, yeah, we're just going to remove the lead singer. Well, it fundamentally changes the band. It doesn't make it make sense, and the state is making a grave error on a $3 billion foundational project in the coastal program. So, and I'll say it again, ignoring every coastal scientist that exists in coastal Louisiana, has worked in coastal Louisiana, or understands coastal systems. So really disappointed that we're seeing this politicizing of the coastal program, and that is going to be to the detriment of our communities in terms of restoration, protection, or just the safety of communities in Louisiana. We should never allow this to get political.
Last one before I get you out of here. We got Congressman Garret Graves for D.C. Current, presented by LABI. Check them out at labi.org. Last one before I get you out of here. Do you still have one eye on the Senate and what's going on with WEP and GPO?
We do. As a matter of fact, we have a rally today. We have been working closely with Senator McConnell, Senator Schumer, and other senators to try to get this bill to the floor. We have an agreement right now from I've been working with Congresswoman Spanberger. We have an agreement from Senator Schumer right now, who's the leader in the Senate, that they are, number one, going to try and attach this to a larger bill, which I am very skeptical of that happening, because usually those bills are negotiated behind closed doors. So the key announcement right now, Brian, is that we secured a commitment that if they're unsuccessful there, they committed to move this bill as a standalone bill in the United States Senate. So this is breaking news. This is something that was recently committed by leadership in the Senate. Congressman Spanberger and I have been working on this, and so huge news. If they agree to move this as a standalone, that is where really this is the final step in the process that would then send this to the president for signature. Massive changes, righting a wrong that's been around for 40 years, stealing hundreds of billions of dollars from police officers, teachers, firefighters, and other public servants in regard to their retirement. So great news. We're really excited about this new development.
You know, when the Saints were at their best with Sean Payton at the helm, and they would have that one drive that just ate 8 minutes out of the fourth quarter, and they would punch it in the end zone, and you're like, what happened to the fourth quarter? I feel like that's where you are with WEP and GPO right now.
Well, it's pretty exciting. I mean, look, no one's been able to get this bill for a vote, and not only get it for a vote, but we are right there in the red zone, and really excited about this opportunity. Look, this really was the last thing, because Schumer and McConnell were kind of dancing around on this thing, but that commitment this week is absolutely huge.
He is Congressman Garret Graves. We do D.C. Current at this time every week. We'll check back in with you next week, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brian. Take care.
Always. We are so late. Let's just break it. God damn, I'm fired up. Holy shit. That guy, I mean, he was like, that was so far beyond. He was like somebody poured a 5-hour energy into a Red Bull. don't even know how to pick up from here. Congressman Graves was a 5-hour energy shot poured into a Red Bull. Like, that was, like, who doesn't want to run through a brick wall right now? My goodness. And that's on the heels of Metro Councilwoman Jenn Racca, who back-to-back segments, just fantastic. Unbelievable information. And by the way, he hit that breaking news in that last segment right there from the congressman. If this doesn't cross the finish line, it will be its own standalone bill. A standalone bill coming out of Washington, D.C. Are you me? No, I didn't really curse. I bleeped myself. Oh, man. Whew. So much to unpack. We were supposed to get to that story that our news partners, Louisiana Radio Network, had about Senator Cassidy and his response to John Fleming hopping in the race 2 years early or 2 years out. We might get to that one later on. We might not. I don't know. Before we get to news, though, at the top of the hour, got to remind you about the folks over at Vex European, VEX, Vex European. Y'all know I love the team over at Vex European. And they take care of my car. I have an older car. I drive a 16-year-old Mercedes. And I'm paired with a tech that works on Mercedes. If you have a Jaguar, you'll be paired with a tech that works on Jaguar. If you have an Audi, if you have a BMW, if you have a McLaren, I mean, they handle exotics too. Check them out online at vexeuropean.com, vexeuropean.com. Their specialization is the key here. It's the fact that they know your make of car. That's what makes them special over at Vex European. And speaking of specials, I said special. Speaking of specials, if you hit up vexeuropean.com, they've got specials going all the time. So go to vexeuropean.com, look for your vehicle on the vehicle tab, and then look for the special to make sure you're getting the most bang for your buck. You made the investment into that European vehicle. Make the most of that investment with Vex European. Here comes news. Hour 3 is next. Luigi Mangione. Goodness gravy. What up? Same. Actually, I haven't gotten back to where I was before Thanksgiving. Only took 2 weeks. I didn't realize taking 5 days off from the gym and eating like a Bacchanalian king was going to do that much to me, but Bacchanalian is an underused word. Yeah, love that word. Oh. Oh, no kidding. So much fun on this day in history. Oh, crap. Hey, Facebook, I'm so sorry. I've had notes on my phone, so I've been away this whole time. Do. Good morning. Let's see. When was this posted? I can't see what time a post came across, can I? Galen says, given St. George, I was surprised that EBR didn't have layoffs in the budget. So, yeah, Robbie, yes, Graves did mention WEP and GPO. If you missed it, check it out on demand at talk1073.com after the show is over with today, because it was big news. And good morning, Morgan. Welcome in. So given St. George, I was surprised that EBR didn't have layoffs in the budget. After getting a lot of off-the-record explanation about said budget, it really feels like the mayor said, I'm going to give everyone the same haircut, and we're going to deal with it later. So rather than making cuts in any one area of the city, mind you, she just gave everyone the same one and treated mosquito abatement with the same level of concern as the 19th JDC. She treated animal control with the same level of concern as the police department or the district attorney's office. Like, this was, we're going to get into it, but goodness. Hey, Kate. Oh, those, golly, this is 2 days in a row now. I printed them and then read them off my computer because they weren't there. Presented by Presley Wealth Management. Oh, I've got my guest hosts slated for, I'm taking off from December 23rd through January 2nd. You're going to be off on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So, you got Dixon McMakin and Haggai already in your phone? Okay. So you'll be able to connect with them to get them in the building. And David St. Remain's going to be on one day, too. .806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We had a busy second hour that's going to lead into a busy third hour. We got Amy Boss from Net Choice coming up at 8:15. Let's talk about the Kids Online Safety Act. We'll dive into it when we get there, but I'm super intrigued by this topic because it puts conservatives in a unique spot. Or in a different spot, I should say. I believe that raising my kids is my responsibility. 100% my responsibility. But yet we feel the need to lean on the government for help on things like keeping them off the wrong websites. Stick around. You're not going to want to miss it because it's a great conversation to have. Also, this hour, the folks from the Baton Rouge Zoo are going to join us. There's a brand new Jaguar. First one born at the Baton Rouge Zoo in 30 years. First one born in this country in the last 2. There's a contest going on to name it. Our good buddy Richard Condon, right down the hall at Eagle 98.1, has a great idea. We will share that with you. Well, we already did, but we'll share it with you again when we talk with the zoo coming up at 8:35. Right now, the great folks over at 5 Star Printing and Signs bring you This Day in History. Bam, 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 bam. Uh-huh. Woo!
Yeehaw.
Can I promo something before you get in real quick? I have
Of course
to.
you can.
No, I have to. 'Cause
Please.
Coming up Saturday right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Yeah, Thursday night you're going to get Thursday Night Football. Monday night you're going to get Monday Night Football. But on Saturday, one of the greatest traditions in sport is right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Army-Navy game, baby. We carry the Army-Navy game every year, and this year is no different. Bringing the 125th meeting of the Black Knights of Army versus the Midshipmen of Navy, the annual battle for the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. Our coverage will begin at 1 p.m. Kickoff is set for 2 right here on Talk 107.3 FM.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
This day in history,
Let's go.
1913, Mona Lisa was recovered 2 years after it was stolen
Oh,
from a museum.
allegedly.
Allegedly.
You sure they got the real one?
Hey, there we go.
Just
in
saying.
those 2 years, a lot can happen in those 2 years.
I'm just saying. Yeah, they could.
You know,
somebody could have painted a replica.
Easily replicated. Yeah.
You know, brought in Bob Ross, put a little happy little smile.
A happy little tree in the background.
Yeah.
Anyway, 1971, the Libertarian Party of the United States is formed.
You jumped all the way to 71?
Well, what do we
1913 and 1971?
Well, I mean, I tend to do that. We could spend all day on. I've got a stack. Look at this.
1941.
This is just my notes here.
1941. One Adolf Hitler, ever heard of him? Declared that Germany was at war with the United States.
Angry little German guy.
Yeah. Following. You ever
The
seen
funny
Norm
little
Macdonald?
mustache.
Norm Macdonald's take on Adolf Hitler? He's
Oh,
like, the more I
yeah.
see about this guy, what a jerk.
Yeah. He's got. Is that in his special Hitler's dog or
Well,
something
that guy's
that?
a jerk.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, yeah. Adolf Hitler declared that Germany was at war with the United States following the Japanese attacks on Pearl Harbor and some other attacks as well. So, yeah.
1972. Am I?
Go for it.
Okay. American astronauts Eugene Cernan and Harrison Schmitt become the 11th and 12th people on the moon, allegedly.
Oh, man. So that was Apollo 17? Is that right? Okay.
Sure.
Allegedly?
Allegedly.
The 11th and 12th? Are they even still
Yeah.
counting at that point?
I don't even know.
Don't they stop at a certain point until you get to the 100th customer? Yeah. Should we go back to the moon? I know there's a whole lot of emphasis to do this by 2027.
I know. I mean, who knows?
All right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Hey, Magnum PI premiered today, starring Tom Selleck in 1980. Were you a Magnum
skipped
PI?
1978.
What was in 78? What am I missing, Brian? I'm sorry.
Can we take you to JFK International Airport in New York City?
You know what? Yeah.
Nearly $6 million stolen. You
Yes.
saw it in Goodfellas.
Yeah. I don't think
The
most of
Lufthansa
that was,
heist.
Was that even recovered?
No. The Lufthansa heist was today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man. Skipped right over that one.
Yep.
Muhammad Ali's 61st and final fight was today in 1981.
Lost to Trevor Burbick.
Yep.
Yep.
Hey, taking this one. I don't know. I'm fast forwarding here a decade here. Anything happened before 91?
No, you know what I skipped was in 1936. King Edward VIII abdicated his throne.
Okay.
Yeah, they did it for his girlfriend.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. All that. Okay.
Yeah, he wanted him to marry. Now I'm forgetting her name.
I don't
You know
even
what?
have her here.
Keep it moving.
Okay.
I don't even use
This is a favorite from childhood for me. 1991 Hook premieres.
Hook. Oh, and you would ask
Yeah.
me about Tom
Robin
Selleck
Williams.
and Magnum PI.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't a big Magnum PI fan. Huge Blue Bloods fan.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's my
It kind of.
Tom Selleck. Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, different show, same mustache.
Yeah. Let's see. 2006 here. Jerry Sloan achieves his 1,000th career win as a coach against the Dallas Mavericks.
Okay.
What happened?
Nothing. All right.
Oh,
Jerry Sloan. What did he do?
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Anything else for you?
Nope. Birthdays. Oh, wait.
Okay.
You say that. Hang on. I thought I had one more in the world of sports. Oh, no. Nothing that anybody's going to care about. Never mind.
Okay. Moving on to birthdays here. Nikki Sixx today, Motley Crue.
Very cool.
Actor, Strong. Jermaine Jackson. Do we count like Jackson?
Yes.
I know he attributed to the Jackson 5.
Yes, you
lesser
absolutely
known brother.
Absolutely count Jermaine
Michael?
Jackson.
Heck yeah. Let's see. Mos Def rapper. Mos Def.
Oh, cool.
Today. Anybody else on your end?
I got a couple of them there. Former U.S. Senator and Secretary of State John Kerry, born on this day in 1943. You also had. Where did he go? Sorry, I'm trying to get back to my sports list because I got a couple sports ones. Oh, how about LSU's quarterback's dad? How about that?
Okay.
Doug Nussmeier, born on this day in 1970. And, Nussmeier was a former Saints quarterback. And while speaking of former Saints, how about former Saints safety Roman Harper? Roman Harper and his neck were born on this day in 1982.
Come on.
Roman Harper's neck has its own Twitter account. Don't come at me.
Well, I know, but it's hilarious. Hey, as far as deaths go, Sam Cooke here, soul singer, 1964, passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Andre, I know I'm a butcher his last name. Brower from
Brower.
Yep.
Oh
Brooklyn
my God!
Nine-Nine.
It's been a year already.
Yes, it has been a year. Yep. Hilarious actor.
I know. Like, made that show.
Yes.
As much as I like Andy Samberg, that show
It wouldn't have been
terrible without Andre Brower.
It wouldn't have been what it was without him.
Also, Interview with a Vampire. Anne Rice. Anne Rice died on this day in 2021.
All right. National Day is not something we really have here, but International Mountain Day today.
What?
I know. Holiday food drive for Needy Animals Day.
No. Daryl Hurst is doing something with that. I was thinking maybe I should give that a shout out, but I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Here's its shout out right here.
Yeah, fine.
National Day.
What was the other one? There was one more that I had on National Days today, and that was Have a Bagel Day. That's stupid. We'll skip it. All right, it's 8:14 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Before we hit our break, got to remind you about the folks over at Parish Construction and Roofing. You'll find them online at parishbuilt.com. If you want to give them a call, the number is 364-1007. Why are you calling Parish? Well, you need somebody up on your roof to tell you if you need a new roof, if you need roof repairs. And if you're going to do that, you want to do business with someone you know. You cannot overvalue doing business with someone you know. And I say this as a Parish customer is because the way they make the process step by step so easy to where literally all you have to do is pick your shingles. And even there, they help you out too. Through the adjustment process, through the installation process, through that reconciliation on the back end where you get all the depreciation money as well. Parish Construction and Roofing makes it as easy as possible. It starts at parishbuilt.com. You open up the website, you fill out the little form right there. They'll put you in touch with someone, and then when you're doing business with someone you know, you've got someone you can call, someone you can trust, someone who can text, someone who's going to text you back. Parishbuilt.com. Parishbuilt.com for Parish Construction and Roofing.
Oh, look at that. It's National John Day. I know.
So everyone go get a prostitute? No offense.
What is that? What does that mean?
A John is someone that's the term for someone who gets a prostitute.
That's funny. It's Jon there. It's Jon. I'm offended. These national days just get out of control.
They do.
Like, are we just? Okay.
I thought I told you you don't know sports.
Birthday, right? Yeah, yeah.
Jerry Sloan's thousands win has nothing to do with us. Galen says these across-the-board cuts make no sense. They need to be targeted cuts based on the changing resource requirements needed. Yes. For example, if you have a number of judges who just have a catch-and-release policy with violent criminals, maybe more should be invested in that.
Amy's on the line as well.
Do what?
Amy. She's on the line.
How did she pronounce her last name? Did she just say Amy?
Yeah.
Could you ask her real quick? Is it Bose or Boss?
Hi, Miss Amy. Hi. How do you pronounce your last name? Is it Bose or Boss? Boss? Boss.
Cool.
Okay.
Making sure.
All right. Thank you.
819 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We're running a couple minutes behind, but that's been the norm this morning. So let's pivot real quick, head up to Congress, because I want to talk a little bit about the Kids Online Safety Act. It is in front of Congress, and it does need to be addressed. We are welcoming in right now Amy Boss with Net Choice. Amy, good morning. Welcome. How are you?
I'm great. How are you this morning?
Doing very well as well. So, all right, let's start with the very basics. What is the Kids Online Safety Act, and y'all's role in advocating for it?
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for having me on. The Kids Online Safety Act, it's one of those very well-intentioned bills that I think we see coming across Congress's table quite often. We don't have to look too far back to see bills don't always say or do what they say they are going to do.
Right.
The Inflation Reduction Act, the Affordable Care Act, and I think this bill really fits into that mold. This is a bill about giving government greater power to control what content is accessible online. So in the vein of protecting kids, there's lots of questions of what this means for privacy, what this means for parental responsibility, and what this means for censorship concerns. So it's a bill that's really being pushed here at the last minute. Congress only has, 9 or 10 days of being in session yet. They're trying to attach it to a end-of-the-year spending bill, which is always problematic, right? Trying to attach unrelated items to must-pass bills at the last minute. We just saw a new language proposed this weekend. It's been tweaked many, many, many times to try to address concerns. But we at NetChoice believe this is really an issue that needs to be thoughtful, make sure that there aren't unintended consequences here.
The unintended consequences are huge, and I love that you start right there, so that's where I want to go. I'm a parent of 3. It's my job, my responsibility to make sure that what my kids are consuming online. Why is this being turned into the government's job?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, parents pick all kinds of things that are, appropriate for the kids, what movies they watch, what TV shows. And really, this shouldn't be any different. It's wrong to move that decision-making from parents to folks in the FTC office, the AG's office. The House Republicans had an excellent report about what's going on at the FTC, overreaching, wasting resources. We should not be handing over this power to them. It's a very slippery slope. Hey, I get it that parents are really overwhelmed with content online, but we really have to ask ourselves as conservatives of who is in the best position here, and we strongly believe that, in fact, it is parents.
Now you're painting yourself into the corner here. I go through this in my head all the time. I mean, I think we're kind of on the same page here. But now the counter argument comes back, says, so you're in favor of your child being able to stumble upon inappropriate material, or God forbid, someone wanting to talk to them who's not who they say they are?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, but we have seen from the experts, I mean, parents need to take back control from the experts. Look at COVID and, in the name of safety, we had to close schools, keep kids home, not let them socialize. So, there's caution here about trusting the experts of what is best for your child. This bill really takes the position that parents can't be trusted to make these decisions for their children. We should all be cautious of really undermining that role. Companies are, to a degree, have offered a number of parental controls for parents, and I think we need to start there. How can we empower parents to use those controls that are available to them? But we also need some education here as well. How can kids navigate the internet safely? What are some red flags? How can they set settings so people maybe they don't know can contact them? I think that is a discussion that is really being overlooked, and that's not being considered in the conversation when it comes to COSA.
We are talking with Amy Boss from Net Choice about the Kids Online Safety Act. Now, let's get into what the actual verbiage is there a little bit, Amy, because I know in principle you and I would both step up and say, no, my kid's my responsibility. This is the job I signed up for. But when you get into the verbiage, is there anything that's really, and I know the slippery slope aside, but is there anything really within the verbiage as it is right now that would be objectionable?
So let me get a little bit in the weeds here a little bit. So the bill requires online platforms to mitigate or prevent any feature that could cause various harms, right? So this can include eating disorders. It can include anxiety. But who decides what those harms are, I guess, is my question. That's where a lot of the problems arise. I will say, if we're going to mitigate these certain harms for minors, a problem that we have is that companies are going to have to determine who is and who is not a minor. What does that look like? It could quite possibly look like handing over a government ID, showing a birth certificate. In order to comply with this bill, companies are needing to know who is under 18, and that will require handing over additional information for these companies. I don't know about you, but I have a problem with handing over more information. If this is a privacy bill, it does actually quite the opposite. We've seen a number of data breaches in recent years, both from the government and the private sector. So I think that's another way we need to be cautious here. This is essentially an ID to use the internet.
At the end of the day, isn't that just being used to help better sell to our kids?
I'm sorry, repeat.
I said, at the end of the day, isn't that just being used to help better sell to our kids? I hate to sound so cynical about it, but we have a segment called Tech Gumbo that we do every Thursday, and the age-old adage is, if you're not the customer, you're the product, so they're making our kids the customer.
Yeah. Look, we at Net Choice, we have long supported, we need a federal privacy law. I think that would address a lot of the concerns here. People have no idea what data is being used, how it's being tracked. This needs to be addressed by Congress. We're seeing states act, but this is really something that has to be addressed at the federal government. We can't have 50 different state laws. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of the concerns, putting consumers back in control of what data is collected, what they can opt out of, would be a good start here as well.
There's also the issue of implementation being uneven as well between big tech companies and smaller tech companies. Talk about that for a second.
Sure. Well, not only the size of the company, I mean, obviously the large companies, right, they can comply with a number of mandates, heavy-handed regulations. Right. They will have no problem. It is those smaller companies, those startups that aren't the Googles of the world that are trying to get in the door that can't necessarily comply with this. But also I would say there's uneven enforcement here too, because you have AGs in blue states, you have AGs in red states, and I think that a lot of what's in this bill is very subjective. Again, going back to what are those harms? I can see the AG out of California deciding something is harmful as opposed to the AG in Florida. I think they have very different ideas of what is harmful content.
100%. We got about 2 minutes left with Amy Boss from Net Choice. So let's talk a little bit about, within that 2 minutes, let's talk a little bit about what all alternative solutions are. We don't want to just say that this is a problem. There should be a solution as well. So what are y'all pitching?
Exactly. So the good thing is, we've seen House leadership saying that COSA is problematic, that this is more of a priority for next year. Kids' safety is an important issue. They want to make it a priority for next year, but COSA isn't it. So I think, first off, a good start is, one, encouraging parents to use those ever-growing selection of online safety tools. This can really empower parents and preserve that privacy and rights of platform users. Mm-hmm. But I think secondly, and this is just not being discussed, lawmakers can prioritize legislation to hold bad actors accountable, right? So platforms are mandated reporters. They report millions of pieces of harmful content, child sexual abuse material every single year. And shockingly, less than 1% of those reports are investigated and prosecuted. So let's also start there. There are people online that are going after children that are escaping being held accountable. And there is legislation in Congress called the Invest in Kids Safety Act, which does address that problem. But things like COSA, I think, they don't live up to their name. And I think there's really a lot of caution that increased regulation doesn't really get to the core issue here.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, for a lot of what COSA aims to do, kids are going to find a way around it anyway. It's semantic gymnastics. It
is. Kids are pretty tech savvy, right? I think that's a valid criticism of any additional regulations is kids will find a way. Again, at the end of the day, we need parents to be involved here to have these discussions with their kids and ultimately make these decisions.
Amy Boss is the Director of State and Federal Affairs with Net Choice. I appreciate a couple minutes this morning.
Thank you so much.
Have
a good one.
You too. Here's news. Luigi Baggioni. We're not going to get that Cassidy stuff at all. I guess I could share this with the Facebook audience. I had no, it was off the record. I can't. There's Brittany. Brittany. Choice. Brittany. No, I just want them when you when you post it online. Just that picture of the Jaguar Cub is the front, is the cover photo. Oh shit, that was way off. That's Cassidy single. Well, what the hell happened with... 8 o'clock, it's starting to get cold, and now it's just straight up cold in the studio. Not on this side. Money. All right, what promos have I done today? I did Washington Mardi Gras or not? No. I've done Army Navy. That's it. Jeez, I'm behind. Let me do Washington Mardi Gras before weather. I got the yawns now. Man. I slowed down. After hour 2, I slowed down. Took my foot off the damn gas. Damn. 13th. That's tomorrow. Talk 107.3 is heading back to our nation's capital to celebrate Washington Mardi Gras. Join me and Gordy Rush Thursday, January 23rd and Friday the 24th as we broadcast live from the Washington Hilton for Mornings with Brian Haldane, as well as a special afternoon drive show from 4 to 6 p.m. It's handling business the way that only Louisiana can. It's Washington Mardi Gras on Talk 107.3 FM, and it's presented by Presley Wealth Management. Time to get a look at your forecast, and here's what we've got going on. It's chilly outside to start off the day, and it's going to get colder overnight tonight. Your high today, only going to get up to about 59 degrees. Overnight low down to 35. So in the surrounding areas, especially north of here, you might actually touch freezing before it's all said and done. Tomorrow we'll top out at 60. Friday we'll top out at 66. Saturday we're all the way back to 72, but Saturday be on the lookout for another 60% chance of rain. Sunday will be 74, Monday 76. More rain on Tuesday that's going to cool things back off to get the highs back into the lower 60s for next week. Right now we are 45 and sunny in downtown Baton Rouge. 8:38. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We're running a little bit long here. Not to worry. It's we're right back into it. We saw the big news yesterday. The Breck's Baton Rouge Zoo welcomes in the first jaguar birth in 31 years. Joining us now to talk about it is the senior communications manager from the zoo. That would be Ms. Brittany Tully. Brittany, welcome aboard. How are you?
Hi, good morning. I'm doing well. Yes, we are so excited about our female cub.
Okay. Oh, female cub. All right. This is a big deal on a number of fronts. Let's start with the fact that it is a big deal because it's the first time it's happened in 31 years at Breck's Baton Rouge Zoo. Was there an effort to breed a cub here?
Yes. So I will tell you this, that Forrest and Mom Jenny, we have tried to breed them before, and unfortunately we had stillbirths with Mom. And so this was the first attempt in a little bit now that we have a cub that's viable. So this is huge news. And I can tell you this, that this cub is the only sixth surviving cub in the past 5 years nationwide. So it's rare, and it's a significant moment, and it's huge news.
How big of an effort is there, not just at Breck's Baton Rouge Zoo, because jaguars aren't they're not endangered, but they're near threatened. So how big of an effort is there towards producing more jaguars overall?
You know, we are part of AZA, Association of Zoos and Aquariums. And so, as you know, when it comes to the SSP, the Species Survival Plan, it's a huge deal. To be able to provide conservation and to keep the genetic bloodline going with jaguars, we want to try as much as possible, you know, but not every attempt. And not every male will be compatible with every female, and not every female will be compatible with every male. And so anytime we can try and make it happen, of course we will want to, you know, for conservation.
So the cub itself was born, was it last week?
It was born October 14th.
Oh, okay. So a little over a month ago.
10 weeks.
10. Okay. So was there, I would assume waiting on announcement has to do with, you know, keeping up with its vitals and whatnot. Cause if it's, if the previous litter was stillborn, how big of a concern is that? And when are you out of that window?
Well, you know, I would say that we are pretty much safe now. And that's why we wanted to wait so long, because in the past with stillborn, you know, obviously we were heartbroken. We were crushed when it happened. And so with Mom, you know, even though she gave birth October 14th, we wanted to wait a while. And so we are pretty safe, and we're out of that window now. Baby is doing well. Her vitals are great. And you probably been seeing the videos all over social media. Baby is with Mom right now, and the cub will stay with Mom until about spring, and then she will make her debut. So she's doing well right now.
What happens then? Does she stay here?
Yes, the baby will stay here. The male and the female, so Jeannie and Forrest, Mom and Dad, they do well together breeding, but we don't want to put them on exhibit together. So we don't want to have Mom, Dad, and baby on exhibit. So what we're going to do is the male is on exhibit right now, and when baby is ready to come out, we're going to put male off exhibit, and we're going to put the female and her baby cub on exhibit.
And then Dad, goes to a different zoo?
Yeah, no, he's going to stay here, but he's going to be off exhibit.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
yes.
Walk me through the difference there. Y'all got a whole lot of animals in the back room?
Well, so you know what's funny? We have a lot of off-exhibit space here at the Baton Rouge Zoo. That was actually part of our expansion in Phase 1. If you remember, we were under construction. You probably had Corey in. We were talking about all the expansion with the superintendent. And so what a lot of people don't know is that we upgraded our night houses and our animal houses in our off-exhibit site. So, yes, we have tons of animals that are off-exhibit at the Baton Rouge Zoo and on exhibit, too.
We're talking with Brittany Tully, Senior Communications Manager for Breck's Baton Rouge Zoo, about the first jaguar born there in 31 years. You were mentioning the zoo community a little while ago. How big a news is this elsewhere? Obviously we're paying close attention to it for, number one, it's the first time it happened in 31 years. Number two, we happen to have a university with a jaguar as a mascot right in our own backyard as well. What's the reception elsewhere so far?
It's been getting a lot of national news, believe it or not. So when we broke the news to our jaguar conservation lead within the AZA, she was ecstatic. Her name is Stacy. And so, because obviously, you know, this is the sixth surviving cub in the past 5 years nationwide. Right. So anytime that a baby is viable and she's doing well and she's making it, that's huge. So nationwide, this has been getting a lot of traction. A lot of news sites in New Orleans and across the nation have been picking it up, and it's been blowing up on my phone this morning. So it's being very receptive, and people are picking it up nationwide, and it's being talked about, and we are excited.
So jaguars in captivity versus jaguars in the wild. I mean, obviously there's a big problem on the outside if they've reached near threatened. How viable is it? How likely is it that help can happen from within to transfer to without? Does that make sense?
A little bit. I think what I'm understanding is that you're saying, how is the animal care within, a zoo compared to within the wild, correct?
Well, I'm asking, we're not going to see a jaguar born at a zoo that's going to make it back into the wild, are we?
No.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. So when it comes to jaguars being near threatened out in throughout the world, where's our level of effort just in helping that populace?
Well, we sure would love to, but the ones that are within the ACA and within the zoos within America, and especially our zoo here, jaguars are listed as near threatened. So conservation work in zoos, that's what a lot of people don't understand. That.
All right. Brittany, I'm sorry. I'm going to jump in here. Something happened with your phone, and your voice got super digitized. I'm going to drop you on hold. John's going to pick up. We're going to see if we can get a better connection here. If not, just have you call right back so we can pick up where we left off. Is she all cleared up now? Okay. All right. Well, then we'll dive. Well, then in that case, we'll dive right back in. Yeah, sorry about that, Brittany. Your voice just went. Okay. You sounded like a robot for a robot on crack for like 5 seconds. So anyway, let's dive right back in. We were talking about helping the jaguar population outside of captivity. Go ahead.
So, fun fact: nearly half of the jaguar population in Guana Shield lives outside protected areas. So, anytime we can bring a jaguar into the AZA, we can get one from overseas. Anytime that we can get one within our program within here in America, it's crucial. It's vital. And obviously, like I said, we will want to save them all. But when they're brought into the AZA and zoos, especially here in Baton Rouge, it's great because we can help make that number less as far as the threatened population of jaguars.
Let's do a little bit on the just the science here as well. Kind of a quick and dirty guide to jaguars overall. How big do they grow? Like, what are we looking at from this cub as we're obviously going to follow her throughout, as she's going to be right here in our own backyard?
You are putting me on the spot there, Brian, but I can tell you this, it depends on sex and it depends on the region. Obviously, those in the wild may be less because they run more and they're able to, food is not as convenient for them, so they may weigh less. But the average in most regions, normally between 123 pounds to over 200 pounds. So our jaguar can get quite large.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that is a big cat, to be sure. And the following along with that, though, when they're in captivity, I mean, obviously they're well fed, they're on a regular schedule, so I would imagine that would lend towards the upper end of that scale.
I would say that we would be pushing close to about 200 pounds for sure. I'm showing here that the smallest females from Middle America can weigh about 79 pounds. I don't think our female is going to run on the lower end of that.
Okay. Last one before we get you out of here, I want to talk about the naming contest. What are we looking at for the naming contest? What's the parameters? When's it going to run, and how can folks participate?
So it's open now. You can head on to the Baton Rouge Facebook and Instagram, Baton Rouge Zoo. Name That Jag is what we're calling it. Name That Jag. We have narrowed down 3 names: Steady, which means bright; Tayeri, which means our heart; and Suna means moon. And those are the 3 names that our curators have decided to come up with. And that contest is going on now until January 1st. And yes, I've been hearing little birdies, and the community is rallying together to name it Lacumba. And we are considering that. So
Lacumba was the previous mascot of Southern University.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like Lacumba should still be Lacumba. I mean, unless we're going to build out a habitat over at Southern, let's. I don't know. I don't know where I'm at on that one. But those are the 3 names that the contest isn't open to all the suggestions. Like, you're not looking for folks to just hop on Breck Zoo's social media and give you their bright ideas.
No. Ideally, we would like to stay in these three names so the community can come together and choose one out of those three: Steady, Tayeri, and Suna. That would be amazing. Yes, if the community can, because that was what our curators wanted to choose. They wanted something with meaning, and so a lot of thought went into picking these top three names.
Got it. So, give me the big reveal day, the big when our new cub is going to be available to us to go view.
So she will be coming out on exhibit in spring of 2025. So we're going to hold her and mom in the back, so baby can nurse with mom and bond with mom. And probably about February, March, April-ish, you will see the new cub come on exhibit at the Baton Rouge Zoo. So that'll be exciting.
Fantastic. She is Brittany Tully, Senior Communications Manager for Breck's Baton Rouge Zoo. I appreciate a couple minutes this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. Have a good day.
You too. We'll talk to you soon. We're at 8:49 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We're 1 minute away from Your Money Now. And in that minute, I got to tell you about the folks over at Matherns. I love having the Matherns Rewards app because every Wednesday I get to find out what the fresh new deals are for the week. And this week, it looks like we've got... I already deleted the email. Food Club Butter's on special right now. You know what? Why don't I just go to the app? It's going to be there for me instead. Food Club Butter is on special right now. They're $2.49 a piece. It's a savings of 50 cents per, but you can buy in bulk. And we all know that this time of year you're smashing through the butter when you're cooking for the holidays, and with Christmas just around the corner, before you take into the kitchen to knock everything out. Maybe swing on by Matherns, or maybe just open the Matherns Rewards app and do your shopping right there. You pull in the parking lot, they bring it out to you. It's an amazing process. And oh, by the way, if you're using that Matherns Rewards app, you're saving cash towards more groceries every time you shop. You'll find them downtown on 3rd Street. You'll find them in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center directly across the street from Tiger Stadium. It's Matherns. Well, I liked Condon's name better. Even if it is a girl. Oh. Might be starting a fight. Somebody's putting their nose in when it doesn't belong. A state representative from South Carolina says, you don't say, you're having the big tech lobbying firm to come on to discuss the Kids Online Safety Act. So I'm responding with, would you like to come on to rebut? Tell me why the government's job is to raise my kids and not my own, asshole. Let's go. Anything else you want to take over in my life? '23rd, 24th. Am I going to the inauguration? I doubt it. I don't want anything to do with that mess. I would much prefer to sit halfway across town and let everybody else go deal with it. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. Good workout yesterday. Half-hour cardio, half-hour lifting. It normally breaks down to 25 and 25 because when I factor in my drive to and from the gym, that eats up my hour. So, yeah. Laptop died. 856 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. All right, John, I'm leaning on you for the timing on this one because my laptop just died, so I no longer have a clock now.
Yeah.
All right, cool. God, it's been a busy show. Man, we've just been blowing and going this morning. We got to get to the outside in. We're going to do that in just a second. Before that, though, I want to remind you, if you missed anything at all on the show, it's on demand at talk1073.com. It started back with our guests. All of our guests are on talk1073.com, not the whole show. Legally Served with attorney Franz Borghardt was awesome this morning. We talked a good deal about Luigi Mangione. The first of a few conversations I'm sure we're going to have there. We want to break down the entirety of this as it moves forward. This morning's focus was, how do you select an impartial jury? I mean, I can't make it through my Facebook feed without more than a handful of people who are very cleverly trying to disguise the fact that they totally condone what he did. There's more than a handful of people who are going out of their way to say, I'm not losing any sleep over this, and he might have done us a favor. I'm like, that's not where you want to be. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. How do you find an impartial jury when you have such an unlikable victim? We talked about that. Metro Councilwoman Jenn Racca was unbelievable this morning, talking about the budget and a supplement that's got to be added on as well. We also talked a little bit about an economic development contract that's out there. That was at 7:15. We had Congressman Garret Graves on, and the way I described that segment, he was a 5-hour energy poured into a Red Bull. Yeah, he was ridiculously good. Amy Boss from Net Choice talked kids online safety, and of course, Brittany Tully just talked about the new Jaguar over the zoo. Before we get you to the outside in, before we close it out, Talk 107.3 and Citizens Bank and Trust are bringing you the ultimate holiday gift with our Home for the Holiday sweepstakes. Imagine 2025 with your rent or mortgage covered up to $18,000. We're here to make your holidays a whole lot brighter. Just sign up at talk1073.com and you can be living stress-free next year. Winner will be notified on December 20th. Time for the outside in. Let's go. Starting off in New Orleans, City Council President and former legislator Helena Moreno has formally announced her campaign to run for New Orleans mayor. She made the announcement yesterday. It follows her filing the campaign paperwork with the Louisiana Ethics Administration back in August. While the New Orleans mayoral election is still 10 months away, Moreno is getting in on this one early. Heading over to Tangipahoa Parish, a stretch of Martin Luther King Drive in Kentwood will be shut down starting today at noon due to damage to utility lines that are under the road. Kentwood's mayor, Irma Gordon, said the road stretching from Avenue G to Avenue I will be closed until further notice as repairs are made to those utility lines. Once the road is fixed, large trucks will be redirected. Once the road is fixed, large trucks will still be redirected to a different route. That's going to do it. We're all done here, y'all. Moon Griffon's coming up next. We'll be back at it tomorrow. See you then. Graves and oh man. All right, Facebook, we got to get out of here. Haggai's in for Cup of Tech Gumbo tomorrow, and we got Crime Stoppers tomorrow. There's something else on the rundown already, and I don't remember what it is. So we'll see you then. Toodles.